the FNL Network talk show.
Hello, and welcome to the FNL Network talk show. I'm your host, David Stowe, and I got my co-hosts, Bethany, Holly, James, Marianne, and Geoffrey today. It's been a while since I've been able to see you guys, and I'm super excited to see you guys again with everything that's been going out there. How you guys been?
Very good.
Great.
Awesome. Hey, it's good to have everybody here, and I definitely know we have a lot of people here that have a lot to say about everything that's going on in the world right now, right?
Yes.
So, well, it has been a crazy, crazy year, hasn't it? I mean, there's a lot of things that have gone on, a lot of things have come into play. Today, they just got over a major funeral, I guess you could say, a memorial that went on today down in Phoenix, Arizona, and there was like 90,000 people that were there, and there was an overflow lot out in the parking lot. For Charlie Kirk. I mean, this has been a major thing that has changed a lot of people's lives, I'd say, in a lot of aspects, a lot of views, a lot of things that we talk about, the way we talk about with our families, our friends, even in public. But before I even get into that topic, I have a question, and Holly and I were talking about this last night. It's kind of something to kind of give us a little segue into starting off this whole talk show. One of the things I was wondering is, has there ever been a time in your guys' lives where you felt anger or strong emotions on something that happened in the world that may or not have altered your view of how you were thinking and your progression towards your thought process in life? And it could be anything. I even had to think about this myself. It's really different when you really put it into perspective, but I want to know what you guys think. If there's anything that's actually happened like that, minus the Charlie Kirk situation.
I'd say
What
9/11.
9/11? Why don't you talk about that, James?
Well, I was on a 7 a.m. flight going from from Miami to Los Angeles. I was invited by Christopher Ciccone, Madonna's brother, to come in drag and be his date and Farrah Fawcett's for the closing concert of the Drowned World Tour. Madonna was performing in LA, and I was so excited because I love Farrah Fawcett. And we were downed in Dallas, Texas, and I spent 10 days there trying to get home. So luckily, I used to live in Dallas, and I had a lot of friends, and tried to get a rent a car, and it was impossible. But finally found my way back by driving 10 days later. Got a big old Cadillac and drove, and it was something else. But it was really sickening to experience all that and to be in the moment of the panic.
How did that change your views on the world? What were you thinking at the
Well,
time?
I guess I've always been sort of naive. I mean, I've always seen the world through rose-colored glasses. I've always looked at everything as, oh, it's going to be better, or it's just a misunderstanding or whatever. And I always thought they were such minor things. But when we were attacked or seemingly attacked, it seems like, oh my God, the world will never be the same.
Oh, definitely. At the time, I'd only been out of the military less than 10 years. And after Desert Storm, I was still attached to the military with my wife being in the Air Force. And we were actually living on base at Edwards Air Force Base out in California. And it, it really affected us in a lot of different ways. I mean, I had a daughter with special needs that had a nurse, and the nurse actually would drive on to base every day. And he was from Pakistan, and his name was Ali. I mean, everything, the cliche, you could think of it.
Yeah.
And I actually was out in town because I was taking a test that morning when I saw it happen, and it was like I was stunned. I was stunned, like, wait a minute, is this happening again? Everything going through my mind from the previous wars and everything. I didn't know what to think, and I had Ali on the phone, freaking out. He's like, I got to get out of here. I'm gonna get in trouble. And I'm like, for what? You haven't done anything. And it just completely changed the view of the world. It changed everything for me at the same time. So I'm 100% on board with you with that one. That one right there is up there with Pearl Harbor. And I don't think any of us were alive during Pearl Harbor, but we were able to experience something like that. And being a teacher today, it's really sad that there's so many kids out there that really don't have a clue about what we went through during 9/11,
Oh, I
as a
know.
nation, as a whole, as a world, and it's just interesting to see how they're just like, oh yeah, I heard about that, so I mean,
Well, I was in coach, and I had a whole row to myself, and I when I was getting on the plane, the flight attendant, she was the lead flight attendant. She goes, "Oh, I know you. You're Elaine." I said, "How do I know you?" She goes, "You did my 40th birthday party."
Oh,
So
wow.
I was all laid out in the back in coach and had a whole row to myself. And like halfway through, they come to the cabin. Get up, Eric. Wake up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. Tell everybody because it was bright early. It was 7 o'clock in the morning flight. Everybody was tired. And so I said, "What's going on?" She sat down and she goes, "A bomb just went off." She didn't know. She said, "A bomb just went off in the World Trade Center and the Pentagon."
Oh,
She
wow.
goes, "We're under attack." I said, "Oh my God, you're kidding me." She said, "No." So when we landed in Dallas, they had television sets everywhere and they were showing live what was happening. And I physically got sick and I went to a trash can and just threw up and threw up and threw up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I went outside and sat on the curb and I just thought, oh my God, all your innocence that you think the world is a good place.
Oh,
It,
you were lucky.
you're like,
I mean, you weren't part of that plan, you know?
yeah, yeah.
I'm wondering if she told you it was a bomb just because at that point, to not have you guys panic as it was on the plane itself.
Well, I don't know. I think this is what, there was so much going on in the fog of war, so to speak. People don't really get the message correct. And she was probably just told that a bomb went off. So,
Yeah, definitely.
and I believe a bomb did go off too. So,
I think everybody did. I was hoping it wasn't what we thought it was, or what we were hoping it wasn't going to be.
yeah.
Jeffrey, what about you? What was something that happened to you?
Um, I think COVID. I think we all
Okay.
died. No, for real. As I was thinking, I was just like, what would be very traumatic that everybody experienced in the United States? And to me, I felt like COVID, I felt like when it hit and when everything just stopped, life just stopped, and people mindset of what they perceive as the dream or hope, it died, and people are still trying to get their self back where they were, which we probably would never get it back. But I feel like we all just died. And it's like, to me, it's continually like going on. And it has not been a refreshing where people are seeing a hope behind a very dark place. And to me, that was traumatic. It was just like we did not know what was coming next. Every day that we got up, we didn't know what we were expecting. We didn't know if we were going to have food on the table. We didn't know if we were going to have like all the things that people were dying. It was just like unfortunate. It wasn't just me personally like experiencing from a person that I knew, but it was globally. Everybody was
Yeah.
experiencing stuff in some form. So that to me was traumatic, and it's still people are still trying to recover from that personally.
Yeah, and being a teacher, I had to deal with that effect. I'm still dealing with that effect to this day. In fact, a bad thing that came out of it was my eyesight because I had to stare at this damn screen all day long, and I wasn't used to that. And after that, Netflix became blurry when I'm watching it. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And doctor says I'm getting old, but I guarantee you it had something to do with staring at that damn screen every day. And it was usually black. I was like I was doing a seance every day because I'd be like, hey, Jeffrey, are you there? Jeffrey, please wiggle your mouse. Let me know. Just kind of take a quick picture. I know you're in the room. It was crazy like that. But, I think there's a lot of good things that came out of it. I mean, we have a lot more taco trucks out there now. So those are awesome,
Um,
But I think you're right. That definitely changed the worldview and how people looked at life and how we handled it. And I think we've all lost people from COVID. So that was definitely a world changing event. What about you, Marianne?
So are we talking real world events, like big deal, or something personal?
I, you know what? I'm gonna go. My story is gonna be something personal, so I'm gonna go with yours with personal, if
Okay.
that's what you want to go with.
Absolutely. I have plenty of those. So like James was saying that he felt he was naive at one point. Absolutely, I was too. And I think for me, what even recently has changed me is learning that not everybody has the same intentions and heart as you.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've learned that some people you offer to help them, they will use you over and over and over. They will take your resources, they will take your money, they will take your time, and then they'll take your dignity. And
Oh man.
even if it's supposedly a family member, it's like you want to help, you want to be there, you want to nurture. That's like my nature is a nurturing person. But at the same time, my husband, he's like, Marianne, you're being used. Stop. Like, and people in my life are like, hey, you can have boundaries and still be kind, but it's not kind to yourself to allow people to use you because they know you're always going to say yes. And then what does that leave me with? I'm totally depleted. And so that's really changed my view of the world and kind of made me wary of trusting people as quickly as I used to. It changes you. It really does.
Yeah, well, most definitely. You know, especially when it comes to family. Family, you're supposed to trust the most. And man, I have to go to down to Port Hueneme tomorrow for my cousin's funeral, and there's going to be a handful of us there, and that's sad. You know, so I get it. I understand 100%.
Yeah.
Bethany, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of examples I could go with, just because life is crazy. I won't go with anything personal just because there are some things that can't talk to the whole nation about, you know? But so I actually was born post 9/11, funnily enough. But I do know plenty about it and everything like that, so I can't share anything like that. But what is unique to my generation is the fact that we grew up with school shootings. And I was in elementary school when the Sandy Hook shooting happened. And I remember that one distinctly. We were about ready to go to a sleepover at my friend's house. We were just going to have a great weekend, you know, that sort of thing. And her mom, because she was a teacher, she sat us down and she was like, there was a shooting. And we were like, was it at the house? It was not. And she went into the details of what happened, and it was very sad. And just hearing about stuff like that so young happening to people who were my age essentially is just very traumatic. It's very fearful, you know, it makes you afraid. We had like drills and stuff in school, like, oh, hide behind the backpacks, or, you know, hide against the wall, which is something no kid should have to go through. But, you know, we had that training, and it didn't really become real to us that it could happen to us up until that point, because we were in elementary school and it had just happened to an elementary school. So that was probably the biggest one for me. And then when Parkland happened, that wasn't any good either, because I was in high school when that happened. So it's like just seeing people my age just losing their lives at the hands of lunatics, essentially, even regardless of like whether the lunatic was their age, like in the case of Parkland, just taking the lives of people who are their own age, they're your peers, you know, it's absolutely crazy to see. It is definitely an eye-opening thing, just to kind of see, wow, the world can be a very scary place.
Oh, definitely.
Places where we're supposed to be safe, we're not
Right.
always safe.
Right.
But on the other hand, I really do think I have an appreciation for life for that, just because at any point there was that fear where this crazy person in the back of the class could someday, you know, bring in something and try to kill us all, essentially. But, you know, I just really appreciate the people around me and just the fact that I'm still here every day.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely hard to see what goes on in the world and some of the crazy things that happen, but I appreciate the fact that we're all here and able to talk with each other and, you know, be friends and family,
Right.
essentially.
I had some friend, or one of my close friends, his kids went to that school at the time, and we actually had a school shooter ourselves, and I got lucky. You know, okay, I wouldn't say luck. I think God intervened. I was getting my master's degree, and I didn't walk for my bachelor's degree. And yeah, I was busy. I had a gig, and I was, who cares? It's just a bachelor's, no big deal. And my wife it was insistent that I go to get my master's. I have to go, and it was down in San Diego, and I chose to go. It was on a Friday. I usually didn't take off. I was a head football coach, so my thing was I don't take it off. I have too much going on, and on purpose, I was listening to a podcast or a story. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was books on tape. And I'm driving, and my phone had 380 text messages on it by the time I got to San Diego. And I looked at it finally when I got there, and it turned out there was a school shooting, and everybody was freaking out because they couldn't find me. And those that know me know that, when there's an emergency, when everybody's running out, the Stowes are running in, and everybody thought, because they couldn't, I wasn't responding, that I had something to do. I ran in there like an idiot, and the only thing I could tell them when I got back was like, what am I going to hit him with, a stapler? I mean, I'm glad God didn't put me there in that position, because I probably would have done something to help. And that's just my nature. So you're right, 100%, that when it comes to your safety, that's something that a lot of people take for granted, especially in the schools. So Marianne, I'm not Marianne, Holly, I'm interested in seeing what you got to say here.
Yes, there that anger, that feeling, and that I'm gonna get a little bit more personal. I love what Marianne said about being tainted, and especially nowadays. Yeah, I could be angry right now. I could be angry with a lot of things. I could be angry right now at being victimized and sexually, and molested and things like that from a loved one, which they go nameless, but they were the first male in my life. I mean, I could be very angry about that. I could be angry at the fact that, the first preacher I knew that was very close with my family, covered up for them and still allowed me to go with him on weekends and things like that, and defended him against my own mother. I mean, I could be extremely angry at those things, because, he was bipolar and things like that, just being a constant, being constantly victimized and being bullied from that, because socially I couldn't develop, and in many ways I couldn't develop because of the infliction, and because there were many instances, because I didn't put myself in that scenario. I did accidentally, I did not on purpose, but I accidentally put myself in different scenarios where I was just bully material. And so bullies kept, the bullying situation. That's why I'm so anti-bullying, would just sit different scenarios and situations that I should have never been put in by people and by others, but I was, unfortunately. And then it just kind of kept coming. And at a certain point in my life, I just kept hitting an emotion, like a spiritual. And I grew up in a Christian household, and I remain a Christian, but I just kind of hit that spiritual and mental brick wall after I'm like, okay, there's an energy on me that was inflicted from infancy. I do not like this. And so I had a lot of anger, and I had a lot of anger, towards religion and that. And then the anger in religion kind of just stayed there. I want to say, so I was in high school, and I had just moved in like LA, and I got a water bottle thrown at me because someone found out. They really kind of nosy their way into who I voted for at the time, which, hello, I came from a Christian conservative background, of course. I voted for a particular person. They got wind of that. It's so bad in high school. People in high school can be so mean anyway, in general. And if you were a nice person in high school, bravo to you out there. I'm so happy that you chose the higher road, the road less traveled by many, because it's just so vulnerable. It's a vulnerable place. So someone got wind that I was voting for a certain person, and all of them threw a water bottle right at me. I had to dodge it. Like, I don't even know how I ducked in time. I had fast reflexes. So I went, "Wah!" Just like that. And by the time I got back up, I was like, that anger, that familiar religious anger, because it was tied to politics, it's oftentimes kind of just flooded over me. And I was like, I thought to myself, I was like, I literally said to myself, is it because I'm a Christian, or is it because I'm a conservative and you're not even asking me what my views are? It's just because of who I voted for. You're not even taking into account of what I am, or not even care about me as a person first. No. So I was very angry at the time. It wasn't until later on in religion, and God kind of set things up where, because I was saved, there was another girl that approached me and said, I struggle in sharing my faith. Here's my number. Anytime you want everyone to reach out to me. I didn't get any, mean vibes or anything like that. I wasn't being set up. it was a totally pure, you know, very friendly thing to do. And so that kind of encouraged me. But yeah, there are many moments in at times in my life and in others' lives where you just feel anger. You feel anger and you feel like I didn't cause this division, but yet I got a water bottle thrown at me. What?
You're
I'm an
lucky that's all it
infant.
was.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I mean,
Especially in
the left
today's,
is very, very dangerous. They can't.
yes, it's the left is doesn't even exist anymore. It's way beyond that now.
Yeah,
Way
it's
beyond
just
that.
way
Yeah,
far.
it's
I'm
no
shocked
longer
you were able to
that
vote in high
bridge.
school.
Yeah. Oh, no. Well, yeah,
Hell, I didn't
exactly.
even
No.
start voting until I was probably well into my 20s when I realized, oh crap, I got to start doing something because this is affecting my life.
Well, technically, you vote right. No, well, technically, okay. So I did not vote, but my family did. You know how people do that? They feel so strongly about a
Yeah.
matter from their own household that they inflict that onto you,
Oh
thinking
yeah.
that you stand for your household instead of just asking
Who
you,
you
kind of
support it.
thing.
Yeah.
You support it.
Yes, which is very personal. I was raised where that was very personal. You know, so
Yeah,
mhm,
definitely. Well,
yeah.
well, that's a great segue into what we're about to talk about. So Charlie Kirk, he was assassinated, and I say assassinated because he was. It was for his political beliefs. We all know that whether you are the left or the right, that man was doing the best he could to have meaningful dialogue between two different parties. And I think somebody like Charlie Kirk could have done great on this show itself because of the fact that we all have our different views, we all have our different lifestyles, we all have our different belief systems, but yet we're able to come on to a show like this and communicate with each other whether we agree or disagree. It helps with ratings when we all disagree. If we all agree all the time, it becomes a problem. But I think what he did was he allowed people to come onto a platform and express their views. And he was able to say the things that I would say a lot of people on the right would love to say, but weren't intelligent enough to say it, if that's the correct word. Didn't know how to say it or express it. And he was able to do it without the anger that we all have. You know, we have built up anger, and the first thing that comes out of our mouth is, we're going to yell at you and say every word in the world because, we're adults now. We're not allowed to throw punches, so some of us don't know how to express that. And sometimes it just gets ridiculous. And I'm very interested in knowing what everybody's thoughts were. What was your first thought? How did you feel when that episode happened? I'll save mine for last. I'm going to start off with James. James,
Well,
um,
to quote Charlie, what he would say, sort of paraphrasing, he says, when you stop the dialogue, violence begins. And
yep,
that's exactly what happens with the left. When they cannot debate you on the issues, they will resort to physical violence. And you can
100%,
And that's the sad thing is that I knew Charlie. I was fortunate enough to be introduced to him in 2016 or 17 in Fort Lauderdale with Candace Owens. They were doing a dual sort of, I guess, speak together conference. And we all went up there, and he could not have been sweeter. Um, and so then the next time I encountered him was I was speaking in California at a place called Politicon in LA in 2018. And so I had gone to listen to a panel because I was with my friend Dennis Rodman, and Dennis was speaking, and Charlie was speaking, and what's his name from the Young Turks son? Uh, you know, uh, Chank, what's his name? Chank.
I can't remember his name. I
Anyway,
know who you're talking about.
he's the host of the show. His son was one of the guys on the panel. So I'm sitting there and I'm holding my seat. I'm in drag and I'm saving the seat for a friend of mine that's with me. And some girl comes up and she's real pretty blonde. She goes, "Oh, can I sit there?" And I'm like five rows back. I said, "Sure." So I scooted over and let her have the seat. And we're listening to it and everything. And afterwards, she goes, "What's your name?" I said, "I'm Elaine Lancaster." I said, "What's your name?" She goes, "I'm Erica." And it was Charlie's girlfriend now, wife. And she was so sweet. And I said, "Isn't Charlie fantastic?" She said, "Yeah, he's my boyfriend." And so we exchanged numbers, cell phone numbers and stuff. And let me show you this picture so I can show you this. This is, let's see if I can show you guys. This is this is from Orlando. This is Charlie. This is him and I in Orlando.
I love the hair.
That's
Damn,
my date.
James, you're tall.
Yes, I am tall. I'm 6'2.5" flat-footed, and in heels I'm about 6'7".
Man,
But
making me feel short at 6'1".
Charlie was one of the sweetest. And, I knew he was a Christian. That didn't matter to me. I come from a Christian background myself, and I have a lot of, parallels where what I believe. But I think what his beauty was is he tried to live by example. He didn't try to force anything onto anyone. He just tried to say, this is what I believe. And if you don't believe something, let's debate it. Let's
Yep.
talk about it. And he was very, very successful until, he wasn't.
Yeah.
And now he's gone from, a human status to a spiritual status, and he's a martyr. And I think his movement will live on and expand and grow like never believed, like we never could imagine, or he could probably never imagine. And the fact that his wife is now the CEO and she's taken over. I wanted to text her, but it's been how many days since he was assassinated, and I just don't think it's appropriate yet to reach out to her. But I'm going to eventually and just tell her, I'm so sorry. And she's just such a beautiful. They both were. And for people to say, "Oh, he was racist or he was homophobic," he was none of those things. I
One
mean,
of the quotes that I heard the other day was like, Charlie Kirk always seemed to be right, and the only time he was proved wrong was that you cannot have dialogue without violence, and it happened. So
yeah.
yeah, it definitely, I mean, I understand exactly 100% where you're coming from. I hope you get to text her. Let us know when you do,
Oh, I will. I'll text her. I mean, I'm just gonna let the dust settle and let's, let things sort of even off a bit. But the thing is that I I I had a very big career in drag, and then in 2016, I was invited to come on CNN as a guest on a morning show. And they interviewed me. I wasn't in drag, but they were, of course, showed videos and stuff. And after I got off the show, they recorded it that day and aired it the next day. And after it finished airing, I had because I had myself on Google Alert. Google Alert was blowing up, blowing up, blowing up, ding, 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 ding. And people were circulating petitions having me fired from my jobs,
Mm.
saying that I was supporting a man who was a racist and this and I just gave too much credit to the gay community because I thought these people are evolved, they're educated, they're going to see exactly what I see. My philosophy is if you don't have a seat at the table, you can't say, "Hey, pass the gravy." Meaning, if
Yeah.
you don't have if you're not in the room, you can't say, "I'm advocating for this. Let's equal these things out here. Give us a little bit of that. Show us some love here." That sort of thing. And
Yeah,
and as a result, everybody just wants to shut off and no discussion and just turn their back. You don't get anywhere that way.
exactly.
Charlie was a living example of let's just talk it out.
Yeah. 100%.
And the left doesn't want to talk about anything. They want to argue and call you all kinds of personal attacks and say you're this and you're everything that. But at the end of the day, you get nothing, you get nowhere. And you can in turn say, yeah, so, I don't even, I used to respond to them. Now I don't. And if I do
Yeah.
want to really know, I'll just respond, I love you.
There are people on the left that I know of that they have no argument right now, and I have a friend, for years. I actually played football with her son growing up, and for almost 10 years now, we've gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm talking like researched, long text to the point where a lot of people look at me like, why do you even bother talking? And at
Exactly.
the end of the day, I think it's the same heart that Charlie had. Part of me wants to say we could talk about this and let's figure out your belief system and my belief system, and either we come to a middle ground or we try to figure it out. She has been 100% absolute silent for the last 2 weeks. I haven't heard a word from her, and
But David, no matter how much facts you put in front of her, she won't accept it.
that is very true. That is very true. And
They,
there's times
they,
where I've even looked at her and I've said, "Look, I'm starting to realize you're just blinded to the truth."
yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times where I'm like, "Oh wow, yeah, I was wrong." but at
It's
the end of
called
the
cognitive
day,
dissonance. They don't want to, no matter how much you bombard them with the truth or with facts, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
But he's
definitely.
this, but he's that, you know.
Well,
And
and the
my
twisting of
philosophy,
the words.
and my philosophy has always been, I've always believed this, and no matter what level of politics, if there's 60% that you agree with a politician, then you should give them your support.
Oh,
You're never going to agree
absolutely.
100% with anybody,
Yeah,
not even your
absolutely.
lover.
And I don't even trust politicians, so I understand 100% with that.
Yeah. I mean, I work a lot with politicians, and there are some that are absolutely fantastic, really
Uh,
are.
I know a couple. Unfortunately, they never get the votes, but
Yeah.
it's one of the things my family always said. My wife always said, "Oh, you should run. You should do for mayor. You should do this." I'm like, no, because I'm too far with my beliefs and I stick to it. I'm not going to bend for the money. I'm not going to bend to tweak it. I'm going to stick to the truth. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people seem to want to go just enough where they believe in you and they understand what you're saying, but they don't want to bend. And that's pretty much what this whole show is about today is, what has made us bend,
Well, you
uh,
should get on the school board.
what's that?
Get on the school board. Start there.
I'm not allowed to. I'm a teacher.
Oh, okay.
I'm a teacher in California. My freedom of speech is gone. So I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So I do the best I can to do what's right in my faith life. And man, I can go on and on and on about that. I get in trouble all the time for things I say and do, but at the end of the day, everybody knows that what I'm saying and doing is from the heart. It's real. It's true.
Yeah.
It's just about the legality issues I have to deal with, and that's something that with my faith life I have to stick with. So, um, Holly, what do you got
Um,
to say about this? I know you're ready. You're ready to explode here. Well, here we go.
I love it. I love that energy. Let me feed off of it. No, actually, the truth is, I love what James said about that. I love the fact that he truly did make an impact on people. I'm not gonna lie. I have a whole new respect for Erica Kirk. I will say that she could have chosen hate. You want to talk about anger? She could
Mm,
have chosen anger. She chose to forgive. If anything, she's a forerunner of what it's going to look like now. Everyone's living out now that it's a horrible thing to say to be without a husband, for those kids to be without a father and everything. And I don't even know if I should be speaking about it now because the funeral has just come, and we watch the memorial service, we watch the people who are speaking about it, and I get it, it makes for great TV, but I don't know if I feel adequate enough to say that. But what I will say is this: it sucks the way it happened, but it happened for a reason. And it happened because he dreamt that stadiums would be filled with the power of God, and
yep.
that he dreamt that stadium, he dreamt this vision, and God made it a reality for him in essence. And honestly, it is what it is. Yeah. And in these days, I heard it once said, you're gonna have, our faith is gonna cost us something. And the truth is, things do cost. I don't know what happened to the world, or in Christianity, in whatever religion you are, whatever background you are, whatever background I am, you are, all of us are. I don't know what happened to make us think that anything great is not worth, like, in other words, I can have something but I don't have to fight for it. That is wrong. It's completely false doctrine. I even grew up in hearing even preachers talk about scriptures that were preached not the way the format in the original text of scriptures, and this, and in other words, it didn't even do the scripture justice in the originality and the translation of it, that went right back to what it actually read versus what it was meant to be translated to, was wrong. And so that rocked my world growing up too. That was a lot of anger. And now the anger is now turning to really hope, because now I'm seeing that this is what can happen when you see someone living out their life in a great way. This is what you see when someone takes a stand in warfare. This is what happens when you see someone that truly stuck, like you said, this stuck with the truth. Doesn't matter what religion you are, doesn't matter if you're a Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, whatever background you are. I want to see a person that goes radically for what they have and holds on to it. And I've seen so many fair weathered people Oh, you'll have, even presidents can promise falsely. Oh, you're going to have this. Oh, I'm going to do this. And next thing you know, it hasn't happened. We need now, we need love now more than ever. If anything from the memorial taught us to do, it's to love more. Even whatever Christians we are, love more as a Christian. Whoever you are, love as a human, love hard. Don't just love and say, I halfway love you. But guess what? When you have a loss, deuces, I'm not going to be around. I'm not going to hold on with you. I'll never forget when my mother first experienced a loss. She was 29 years old when she became a widow. She was already an orphan, and she had a kid to raise. And so many people told her, we'll be here for you. We'll be here for you. Week after the death, 2 days after the death, and 4 hours after the death, no one was in sight. And this guy was heavily connected, like, to a lot of places that could. Erica Kirk is so fortunate, but she has also taken a major stand. So if anything, this just gives me hope to be what Charlie Kirk was and to fight that kind of fight. And it kind of stirs a fire on the inside of you, like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. No matter who you are, no matter who you want to become that. Fill a stadium if that's what you want to, or not necessarily, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not physically or whatever, but have that stadium mindset to go, whoa, and just hold on to it and never let it go, and keep fighting and fight till the end, so that your partner can do that with you, what Erica's done to Charlie. So
But can I say something? Don't you think that his assassination has sparked a revival?
Yeah.
absolutely.
Revival.
Well, can I talk about that?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's
'Cause I've been waiting.
chomping at the bit. Here we go. Hey, tell us, Geoffrey. Here we go. Let's do this.
So God spoke to me, showed me a dream a month ago about revival. It was just crazy. In the dream, he showed me babies in the water, and adults were helping them. And a young lady came to me, gave me a plate, and she was worship music was going on in the dream, and she was like, revival, 3-day revival is ready to break out. And it went to there to, like I said, was babies in the pool, and adults were helping them. And I was standing on the outside, but as a leader, I had to step into the water. And when I stepped into the water came up to my neck. And I woke up and I was just like, okay, Lord, what are you saying? So the Lord was saying that we as leaders needed to get in the water to get revived in order for us to revive the people. Now, when God, because He's been talking to me a lot about that, and there's a lot of transition going on with me. And I looked at the Charlie Kirk situation an hour ago. I didn't want to look at it, y'all. I'm in a place where God is trying to keep me centered. So I'm not on either side. I'm hearing what he's telling me to say so I can be obedient, because I feel like what's going on now is the heart posture of the people is no love. God was love. He was compassion, and he was compassionate with everybody. And he was like, he who has no sin cast the first stone. Now, as leaders,
John 8:3-11.
when we're dealing with people, we have to meet them where they're at. In meeting them where they're at, the only way that we're going to meet, because God's been dealing with me with the Gen Zs. They are very radical.
I teach them. I feel your pain.
They know the word, and they stand on their opinions. And I love it. But the thing is, we as older people have to meet them where they're at. We have to come together as a whole to understand where they're at and them understanding where we're at. So I feel like the things that are going on and everything is happening the way it's supposed to happen. It's very unfortunate. And I'm praying for Charles Kirk and his family, Charlie Kirk and his family, because those things should not be happening. But I think it's a colliding of both worlds that are going on right now. And in order for us to meet on mutual ground, we're going to have to come to an agreement on both sides. We're going to have to understand one another, and we're going to have to help people where they're at. Them helping us and we helping them. So I just really wanted to talk about that, because God has really, really, truly been dealing with me with this love posture, this heart posture. And I feel like we're not looking, because when you really love and you see a person that's struggling or going through situations, you can see their heart where they're at. You can minister and help them where they're at, and they can understand you. Now, if you're coming at people where you're calling out their issues and you're saying that they got this going on, but you're not giving them a solution to the problem, then you're not doing them any justice. So if you're going to
100%.
help anybody, you got to meet them where they are, and you have to disciple them. You have to help them to get them to a place where they can understand. You just can't throw the words out there, because they're going
No
to go.
accountability, Jeff. You're so right. No accountability. And that's why there's
So
been no
yeah,
accountability.
I'm just like, I'm in a place where I'm not gonna sit up here, and I don't care if you a billionaire or you poor. I'm gonna love you who you are. And I feel like if more of us were loving people for who they are, we can help one another. We got to come off of the platforms of thinking that we're here, but there's people down here. So how are we going to be helpers to one another to build everybody up where we're one nation and we're moving together on one accord? It's Psalms 33. What it is to see brothers that dwell together on one accord is like pouring oil on Aaron's beard. He blesses it. He's waiting for us to come together on one accord.
100%.
But
And I'm
well,
glad you brought up the John 8:3-11, because that was something that came to mind this week. I heard a lot of people throwing accusations out. Oh, Charlie is racist. He was racist. What he said. He didn't like anybody. He didn't like black people. He didn't like, gays. He didn't like this. I was like, first of all, and then they said, "Oh, you have to be more like Jesus." Jesus was right. He did. He took the prostitute who was supposed to be stoned to death, and he told everybody there. They were trying to trick him into
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, Mosaic law is he's going to go against it, and we're going to catch him." And he said, "You're right. That is the law. Any of you who is without sin," I'm paraphrasing now, throw the first stone. And then once that was done, and everybody dropped their stones and walked away, the first thing he looked at her and he says, "Where are your accusers?"
Yeah.
And she said, and she looked around and he goes, "I too do not accuse you. Go and sin no
And
more."
no, sin
It
no
had
more.
nothing to do with, oh, she was in the right, and let's make this a normal thing. He basically said, your choices were wrong, what you were doing, just like all of us. Don't sin anymore. Did he know she's going to sin? Absolutely. We're human. We're all sin. Everybody on this podcast or this show right now, we're all sinners. We're all going to make mistakes. Charlie made mistakes. He wasn't that. He wasn't perfect. But the point is, look, what the choices you make are not good. There's no love involved in that,
Where's the
and
heart posture when you're dealing with
it,
people?
exactly. Marianne, what do you got to say?
Wow. Wow. I have a lot to say. Um, so I did not know a whole lot about Charlie before
Oh,
this
wow.
happened. I mean, I knew who he was, but I never really listened. And I think I can say it's probably safe to say myself, including a lot of others, have started listening to him a lot. When I started actually listening to what the man had to say, wow, it makes sense. And every debate that I saw, he was respectful, he was kind, he was not, and people will take little snippets of what he said and they'll take them out of context and they'll be like, oh, he's racist, he's homophobic, he's this, he's that. No, you've got to listen to the whole thing. You don't want to just listen to a little blurb, because that's what they want. I've got friends that have been on TV and they will take a small section. James, I'm sure you know this. They'll take a little piece and they'll make it look like something it's not. And I think that is exactly what they were trying to do with him. And hearing his debates, hearing what he has to say or had to say now after him being gone has really reinforced for me my spiritual beliefs as well as my political beliefs. It has reinforced for me where I stand, because you're right. I have seen so much hatred from people specifically on the left. I have Facebook friends that are like, he deserved to die, or he wanted me dead, so who cares if he's dead? And I'm thinking, I can't find any evidence that he said he wanted a certain group of people dead. I cannot find that.
it doesn't
And
exist.
right. And this was in particular, it was a trans friend of mine that said he wanted people like me dead. Where? I don't see that. Just because
Didn't
he
want
doesn't
men
agree
in
with.
women's sports. That's all his only posture when it came to transgender. He did not want
Right.
men in the locker rooms or in the sports, which is the same with most common sense Americans. Common
Right.
sense.
Right. And that's the thing. People don't want to, I think some of them see what they want to see. And I have seen so many hateful posts about laughing that this man is dead. He has a family. He was a father. He was a husband. He was someone's son. Why are you laughing? It's
Because
not funny.
we're in the midst of a spiritual battle, not just in the United States, in the world. It's good versus
It's
evil.
more, it's more
Yes.
exposure. It is what it is. It's more exposure. It's just showing people who they are, and the hate is real.
Yeah.
And we don't
Yes.
want to deal with what
Anybody
people
who
are.
who
The
relish in
hate
that,
is
they're
real.
demons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's no love. Like, when are we going to
Yeah.
stop hating on one another and really start genuinely loving each other? It's just been a
Right.
back and
The
forth.
the
It
fact that
just needs to stop.
the fact that Mariana says that she never heard of him, I can see Charlie talking to Jesus up there and saying, "Man, you cut me off short. I could have brought so many more people." And he's looking at him saying, "You have no idea how many people are coming to us now."
Yeah.
Yes. And I
And
mean, I'd heard of him, but I didn't really know much about him. I just knew that I had people that would slam him or agree with him on posts. And it's like, I don't really know much about this guy, but then I knew he got shot and I was sitting in my car. I was going somewhere and I was like, please let him make it. Please let him make it. And my friend texted me and said, he's gone. And my heart just sank. And that kind of prompted me to do my own research. And I'm learning at 39 years old just how important it is to be educated and to know who you're supporting politically, to understand what your beliefs are and why. And he was a good example of that. He embodied that. Whether
it,
people liked him or not, he was not afraid to tell what he believed and back it up.
if somebody on the left had the same integrity and intelligence to be able to explain himself the way he did on the left, I would totally be listening to him just to see what they have to say and be like, wow, that's very interesting debate,
Of course.
but we don't tend to hear that, so
Exactly.
I
And
was on
it's,
the left for a very long time, and they don't exist.
yeah, I
I'm starting
believe
to, I'm
you. I
starting to
believe
see
you,
that.
James. You probably know.
I grew up on kind of towards the left. I was more in the middle. And like I said, I was not like, I guess I could say I was like Holly. Okay, my family votes for that person, so I gotta love them. I'm going to support them because hey, I'm an athlete. I'm going for the team that's going to win. I want to win. But at the end of the day, there was times where I would argue about a lot of different things and aspects, and I had to do my research. But I never was somebody just completely just cut it off because of the fact that I have to win no matter what. I don't care about, reality and intelligence, so. Bethany, what about you? Didn't mean to leave you
So,
out so long.
yeah, so as far as like politics goes, I'm probably going to be the only voice of dissent on here. However, I need to preface political violence is never okay. I'm sorry. Do you hear the dog barking outside? My
No.
goodness, it's so loud. I'm sorry.
You
If
might
that
hear
is
my
coming
dog.
through.
He's out there pissed
I
off
can't
right
hear
now
it.
because
I don't have a dog. It's a neighbor's dog.
Oh, it could be. Damn, my dog's really loud then.
It's
He's mad at me right
just-
now. I ain't letting him in.
Yeah, that dog is really mad at who knows. I don't know. I can't really see him, but he's barking. Anyway, so as far as politics goes, I'm gonna be the lone voice of dissent on here. Am I on the left? Yes. However, I will explain. Before that though, political violence, never, 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 never okay. I am here to listen to people who have different opinions. I find it very educational. I like to learn from people. And even if we have to just agree to disagree, I'll still love the other person. Like it's not a moment of I'm going to judge you for having a different opinion from me. I'm not going to judge you for just voting for the other person. I'm not going to like hate on anybody for that because it's a difference of opinion. And I think I don't know, I set it aside a bit more. And it was really sickening when I heard about it. And when they were playing it on the news, it was just very sickening. Just the way it all happened, it's very sick. The person who did that, Looney Tunes, like they're cuckoo. You have to be absolutely insane, not only to kill someone, but to assassinate someone, you know, because Charlie Kirk was, I would say, an influencer. He's not just a political figure, but he's more of like an influencer type political figure, like prominent on social media, prominent with younger generation. So, you know, just to assassinate someone like that, you just have to be crazy. Because for one thing, you have this parasocial relationship with that person, meaning you think you know who they are and you think you know every aspect of their life, but you don't. And you have to be another level of crazy just to hate someone who you haven't even met. It's just, it's insane. The person who did it deserves to be locked up, probably needs some mental help, to be honest. It's just insane.
He's not
Never
insane.
should have
He's highly
happened.
intelligent. He's a scholar. He's a 4.0. He is not insane. He's evil. There's a difference.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say there has to be some degree of mental illness there, because you just have to, not only just because he killed someone, yes, that is evil, but I think there has to be a degree of mental illness because he had to have known he wasn't gonna get away with that. You know, like you can't get away with
You
assassinating
thought he'd be a
somebody.
hero.
Yeah, like you just have to be out of touch with reality to think that it's okay.
To who? You gotta be a hero to who?
There's a lot of people out there that think he was a
There's-
hero.
He is not a
I
hero.
get that,
He
but
is a lunatic. Not a hero. Silencing the opposition is never heroic. It is never okay.
Didn't
You
silence
left
him.
this
Woke him up.
family without their father. You left these kids without their father. You left this wife without her husband. Sure, you may not have agreed with what he had to say. I mean, there were a lot of things he had to say that I personally didn't agree with. Would I have silenced him for that? Never, never.
Brittany,
In
did you
fact,
listen
I
to
would have
his
been
speeches?
interested in talking with him, you know, like freedom of speech. That's what makes us so great here, is that we can have this dialogue, and just to silence the opposition like that, never okay. Just never.
Had you listened to his debates
Yes.
previously?
Yeah.
You followed him?
Yeah, so here's interesting thing about me. So I grew up in a Christian conservative household. So I think that's where I have some degree of empathy as far as that logic goes, because I can see where it came from. Because at one point I was with that. I changed from like a policy standpoint just because mentally, with the way my mind works, logicking things out, the left just made more sense to me. Now, do I think it is okay to commit any kind of violence? No. Do I condone any type of extremism? No. Communism? No thanks. Fascism? Also no thanks. You know, just let's come together and be reasonable. That's kind of where I come from. So I definitely have heard some of his debates, and they can be intriguing. It can be interesting. There are times where I'm like, okay, you're kind of going in circles a little bit, but you know, I'm interested to hear what he has to say, to what the people who are talking to him have to say, even if they are unintelligible sometimes, because some of the people he was debating sometimes didn't know what they were talking about.
Did you ever
Um,
hear him say anything hateful?
yes. Well, I don't know if I would
I don't
call
mean
it
things you didn't
hateful.
agree
It was
with. I mean
something I
hateful.
disagree with.
Yeah, see, there's a difference. He didn't say,
Yeah.
I have followed him from day one. He never said anything hateful.
I
He
don't
said
think it
things
was
I didn't
hateful. He
necessarily
was
agree
just
with.
operating off of a different set of ideas.
Being a follower of him, I've heard, like you'd said before, I've heard clips where he says something where I'm like, what? Wait, hold on. And then I go back and wait and listen to what he's saying. And it usually finishes out where he polishes it off, where you go, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I
And
mean, I
instead of
can
just, I don't
sometimes see
cut
where
off
he's
when people
coming
tell me
from,
something.
but
Yeah, that's a
doesn't
big
mean I
problem
agree
even when
with
you're
it.
arguing with people. Yeah, no, you have times where you argue with people, and one of the biggest problems, and I teach this in health, is when you argue with people, most times we spend more time saying our point and then thinking about what we're going to say next versus what they're saying back.
Yes.
And I think a lot of the times he would say something that gets everybody going, oh, wait a minute. Oh my God, my blood's curling. I can't believe he would say that. What the hell is he thinking? And the whole time they're thinking about this, they're not listening to his point. And then they go, well, you just said something that I don't agree with, and that's completely wrong. And I'm going to nitpick that, and I'm going to put that out there, and you're an asshole, and everybody knows that. And there is things that even when in light of everything's been going on, when people would say, well, he said this, he said this, he said this, I go and listen to the whole thing because I'm like, wow, I wonder what he had to say.
Well, the
And
next sentence was.
and I want to listen to what he's saying because that's what the whole point of meaningful dialogue is. Sometimes people will say things that upset you, but if you listen to the whole thing, you might go, oh, all he's doing is agreeing or disagreeing with what I'm saying, or repeating what I'm saying, or repeating what others have said, and I want to finish what he has to say. And at the end, I usually think that what he says aligns with a lot of the things that not only do I believe, but it's out there, it's truth, and that's one of the things a lot of people don't like. They don't like the truth.
Well,
Yeah. I
I
want to say
think
something
some
too.
of it though is a difference of opinion. So like I'm willing to hear a different set of ideas and everything. Oftentimes we would agree on the issue, like what the issue is, what the problem is. So like, for example, gun violence is very much an issue. We would disagree on like, say, the root of it. So for example, I see it as an issue of lunatics have access to guns. Lunatic should not have gun. End of story is kind of where I come from. He comes from a standpoint of like you need to have a gun in the room to protect everybody else from the lunatic. And I think we're just kind of operating from a different set of perspective in that regard. There was another point that he made in a debate that I watched. I think it was from about a year ago. I don't know if he still was in that stance, but he would say like some of the issues like in racial communities, like Black communities being poor or there being a lot of violence there, he put it down to a lot of Black communities not having a father, which is that an issue? Yes.
Fact.
Is it the sole issue though? No.
I
because
teach high
there's
school and
socioeconomic
I
status.
teach high school in a community where we have the highest rate of orphaned kids that are living in other homes that do not have parents. I understand 100% what he's coming from. The only thing is that I think is important with that statement was the fact that, well, I guess I'm just going to say he had the balls to say it, that none of us had the balls to say it in
I'm not
public.
saying it's not an issue. I'm
It
just
is.
saying it's
Can I
not
say
the
something?
And
cause
hold
of the
on, let me
issues he
just
was
add
talking
to
I gotta
that.
say something about
They
that.
go, they manipulate
Yes,
things
please,
also. Let me
Jeffrey.
add into that. They also do. I'm gonna add on to what David and James are saying. They literally do a census at the very end. They literally are so manipulative. The government is that they count out all of the children that they know are gonna have the lower end of living, if you know what I mean, and neighborhoods and this and that and homes, and they count up all that, and then they build prison systems in that area way ahead of time because they know what's going to
Profit
happen.
prisons.
Manipulative. So yes,
They are
yes,
they are
that is
I say
manipulated
correct.
into.
Jeffrey, please.
Go ahead,
I
Jeff.
definitely want to say something to that because that is,
Jeffrey, what do you know about
Yeah.
Black families?
huh? I'm Black. Oh, great. But I had my father and mother. But the thing as a leader that I've learned is we can put that out there, but are we willing to be that spiritual father to help them out of that situation? Because that is a
Exactly.
mindset. That's the thing. So we're throwing out these situations, but what are we doing to change it?
Yep.
That is the difference maker.
So
Because
Jeffrey, I'm glad you say that because I've been
you can create a scenario about a situation, but if nobody's taking initiative to help what that is, then
yeah.
it's just words.
So when
And I believe that issue.
somebody like me, and you know me, I agree with you 100%. So I'm not saying it had nothing about race. I
No,
want to help
no,
people like that.
no.
I want to help those kids. And when I bring up the fact that, hey, I want to help them out, the first thing that comes to me is like, what do you know? You're a white boy. You have no clue what you're talking about. And when I say, look, I have 5 kids, I know how to handle it. I'm not perfect, but I want to be there. I want to be that father figure. I'm a coach. I'm a teacher. I'm a mentor. I'm a leader. And that's what I do. But when I say something, I
You're
get
the,
reamed. It's the
you're the
same
white
thing.
savior.
In
You're the white
this,
savior.
yeah, this might be, this might be off as a scenario, but as a male at my school, there's a lot of girls that come to school wearing hoochie mama outfits that are like, I would never let my daughters wear.
Mhm.
I had a girl the other day walk in and half of her nipples hanging out. If I were to speak up and say, hey, what are you doing? The first thing that comes to everybody's mind, why are you looking? That's why every man in my school is afraid to speak up and say a word, because if you do, it gets twisted around and turned on you. It's to the point where it's like, dang it, how do I fix this?
But isn't that your
Sometimes,
Feel
Jeff,
like
I'm
schools
not
that
conversation?
have
allowed to say
So
adjusted.
anything.
look, I want
I'm
so
not allowed to say
I
anything.
want to say
I want to
something,
be
but
that. I want to be that guy
I
that
know this
helps.
is
And I'm
this.
all about helping. But when you speak up and you say, look, I'm trying to help, you're shot down. And that's the issue that I think Charlie was talking about.
Okay, so I want to say something about that. So if I see a young lady, I don't care if she's black, white, Puerto Rican, or whatever, and she comes with her nipples out, we can say that.
She's not a young
It-
lady.
no. That's not listen to what
Oh,
I'm saying. See, that's what I'm saying. We have to go deeper than what we're seeing. Because my initial thing is when I see that as a spiritual father is she's trying to get attention.
Oh, she
What's
is
going on with
100%.
her? So that's the root
her
is
home life.
trying to
Something's
get
wrong in her home
attention.
life.
So what is that root of her getting attention?
Right.
And more or
Yeah.
less, the root is probably she already started having sex at a very young age.
Yep.
So how do we love her where she at? Versus automatically saying, I
No,
want to
I do
approach
not
that situation.
disagree with you. Jeffrey, I'm
Because
100% on
I'm
it.
telling you, I'm
And
listening to
if you
I'm
were
telling
sitting
you as
next to
a
me teaching, we would look at each other and you'd say the same thing. I can't say anything because if I do say something trying to fix this situation, I'm about to get in trouble. And here's the deal.
High school,
I
David?
said it early in the show. I am a teacher in the state of
oh
California.
yeah, most definitely.
I
Most
have
definitely.
absolutely 100% no freedom of speech. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I have no freedom of speech.
I totally understand
And
that.
What about the
therefore, as
administration?
a
No,
man
I
of God,
understand that.
I,
But
I so I was speaking
me
to
personally,
one of my former
the holy
administrators this
boldness
Friday.
is I'm gonna minister to that, and I'm gonna pray for that, and there's gonna be a change in that spirit that she
And
operates because
I'm
that's a
glad you
spirit.
are. I'm
You
glad
know,
you are.
that is a spirit.
I
And
need
you
that.
have to want that spirit if you in love, want that spirit to be delivered because that is a spirit that she's operating in.
And
That
on the
is you
side,
can see
Jeffrey,
the
I'm going
little
to
girl.
call you up and say, don't forget your ass said you're going to pray for me. You better help me out because I've been praying my ass off like there's no tomorrow.
David, do you teach high school?
I teach high school, yes. I
Oh,
coach girls flag football. Psychologically, I'm still trying to figure out. I may have to start texting Holly and Marianne and everybody on the side to say, hey, give me some insight because there's no class out there, no school out there. There's nothing out there that helps me with the psychological issues that go on with girls at the high school level. And every guy coach that I run into, they all say, hey, it is what it is. That's what you chose. There's no fixing it. I believe 100% there's got to
hogwash.
be there's an answer. I'm still searching for it. I'm getting there. I'm close. I'm doing everything out of the book. And I'm gonna write that book, I think, one day, but I definitely need your guys' help with that one on the side.
They all want, yes, they're in high school, right? Well, David, then they all want what fentanyl on social media into wear whatever midway, you close whatever midway. But that was yesterday, right? Hopefully today and the next day and the next day, they want what Erica Kirk has, and they want Jesus, and they want stadiums, and they want to look all pretty and everything, and they want to be
Oh
the
yeah.
blonde and the jump pantsuit one day, white pantsuit. Hey, So.
I'm probably the closest one in this chat to a teenager. I am not a teenager, but I'm the youngest one here. So
Maybe you can help me out.
so yeah, there is like a lot going on hormonally because your brain is changing at that age. I think part of it is some of it is trending fashion, like there's some sheer garments going on with
Yeah.
free the nip. Is that appropriate in a school setting? No, I would hope your school has a dress code, and that you are allowed to enforce
We
it. It
used
sounds
to.
like you are not.
We
which is
used
very
to,
unfortunate.
but unfortunately, our governor makes it very hard for us to push those codes, and we get in trouble for it. You'd be surprised that when the very
Yeah,
beginning of the
so
year, our
I'm from
principal said we're
Kansas,
not
so like
allowed to punish
that's
anybody
not an
anymore.
issue for us.
Yeah, we
Um,
are in an area where it's like that, but here's the deal, and I'm going to say this 100%. I taught in Nebraska, and anywhere outside of California, you wouldn't have to deal with this. The one thing we do say to each other is regardless of how ridiculous it gets where we're at, we just happen to be in a small spot where, or a big spot, I should say, where this happens on a daily basis. However, we have, and it's back to, I guess, politics. We have a state that is an influencer when it comes to politics. Our governor is an influencer when it comes to politics. Everybody wants to mimic what our governor's doing. And because it, quote unquote, seems to work on the, I guess, the material side of it, um, they want to push that policy. The reality is we've got people like us behind the scenes that I don't believe in it. I do what's best for everybody. I love all my kids. I love my students to death. I love
it's a
them
real
whether
teacher right
I
there.
love them when they don't even know if they're a boy or girl. I mean, I love them. It is what it is. At the end of the day, I still understand anatomy and physiology. I understand personalities, and I understand that, you know what, you just haven't figured it out yet. Because before any of this was a problem, when I was a young teacher, I would tell people, you know what, I did some stupid stuff when I was in my 20s. And some of the stuff that I did as a teenager, I look back now and go, what an idiot. We were all idiots.
I
So
do
when
that
I
now.
look at every one of you being idiots, I'm just going to say, hey, 10 years from now, just remember, Coach Stowe said, you're an idiot. And
Mhm.
but the problem is that we're normalizing this in in our school systems. We're normalizing it, like Geoffrey said, to the Gen Zs. It's a normal thing. But one thing I can say that I'm seeing with the Gen Zs is there's a 30-year revolving door. And what I mean by that is the greatest generation was my grandparents, and I got along with them great. My parents were part of the hippie generation. I mean, they were the boomers. We clashed. We clashed.
Mhm.
And my kids, who are the X Gen and Z Gens, are really good relationships with the boomers. Now I have grandkids that are in the alphas that I'm starting to realize, well, these alphas, man, we kind of align. I think it's a rotating thing, about
Yeah.
30-year thing it's going through. And
You
I'm
are
seeing
correct.
that, you know. And
I've
so,
encountered Gen Alphas. I grew up in Gen Z. My dad's a boomer. My mom's an Xer.
oh man,
So
yeah,
I see the
Oh, dang.
dynamics.
we see that
Yeah.
dynamics. You know, I'm glad everybody said what they had to say. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Charlie Kirk situation hit me harder than anything's hit me in my life. Um, I've been through hell. I've been through back. Went to hell. I hated God for a while. I was so mad and angry because of my daughter's situation. I went away from the church. I tried to prove the church wrong, and I built it up because I'm going to say my age. I'm 51 years old. I've been through a hell of a lot of stuff. In fact, I've been through more by the time I was 28 than most adults do in their entire lifetime. I've been in movies. I've been in TV shows. I've been lead singer for a country rock band. I've been in the military during war. I've done so many things. And the one thing that you cannot take away from me is the wisdom that I've developed over the years. And when I walked in, and I'll never forget, fourth period, I walked in and somebody said to me, oh, first of all, I had a text message from a close friend of mine who's in my department. It was an email actually. And we were about to fight on some stupid stuff, you know, it was dumb. And all of a sudden, somebody turns to me and says, hey, Charlie Kirk was shot. My shock went, what? I listen to that guy all the time. That's the guy that's been helping me learn how to deal with the world right now and what
Mhm.
comes at me. And I was shocked. And I texted my family and said, Charlie Kirk was shot. And they're like, hey, look at the text message. And I looked, and I was like 80 messages behind everybody. And so I was like, oh man, okay. So I went through the period, got done with the period, and then I found out he died. I looked at my coworkers and they know who I am, and the looks on their face with me is they knew, oh God, Stowe's about to lose his mind. You know, I didn't lose my mind. I went to my classroom and for my next period, and I looked at these kids, and I was doing everything I could not to break down. I looked at them and said, can everybody just stand up real quick? And everybody stood up, and I said, can everybody just give each other a hug? And everybody hugged each other, and they thought it was weird, and they didn't know what I was talking about. And I said, something just happened in this world that I don't care if you were way far left or way far right. We just destroyed everything this man was trying to work for. And this is a mirror image of what the man that I've been trying to follow my whole life, Jesus Christ, and I've tried to learn from. And every Christian I've ever known has gone through a scene where they didn't trust God. They were angry at God. They were angry at the way they were raised. They were angry at the people they
Yep.
loved. They were angry. Even Mother Teresa questioned
Wow.
her faith at one point. You are not a Christian if you don't question your faith. The reason being is even Jesus had asked God, why have you forsaken me up here? When he knew the answer, but he was still scared, because all of us have to do a point. And Charlie Kirk said it right when he said, everybody being a Christian is going to have to go through hell. You're going to have to figure it out, but you stand tall because the end result is greater than anything that can happen on earth. And one of the biggest things that happened to me is about a year ago, I had an epiphany. I had a dream. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had one of my players on my volleyball team. It just dawned on me. Oh my God, I said something to piss him off. I pissed his family. He's one of my star players. I got to fix this. What did I do wrong? I'm going over and over in my head. And then finally I asked God, I said, God, why do you make me forgive people when you don't forgive people and they have to go to hell? And then he answered my question when I woke up again. And he said, I don't send people to hell. They send their own selves to hell. He goes, I want them to be with us. And they make those choices. It's the choices we make. And so that day I was thinking and thinking and thinking, who do I turn to? Who can I ask this question to? And all of a sudden I had this epiphany, and I called my wife and I said, hey, when was I born? And she goes, April 20. I said, no, the exact time. Pull my birth certificate. She's at work. She works at this computer. She works for the Navy. She pulls out, she goes, it says you were born at 6:17. I said, look up Matthew 6:17. She looked it up, and I said, this is going to be weird, but just read it. She reads it, and it says, he who cannot forgive will not be forgiven by my Father. I have gone my entire life. Everybody thought,
Wow.
because I'm in the entertainment industry, because I always want to be liked by everybody. I want to be everybody's friend. I always look back and said, no, that's not really it. I forgive everybody because I've effed up so many times in my life. I hope to God when I enter that and I got to sit in front of him, that he looks at me and says, at least you forgave people. And that hit me. And I turned to her and I said, oh, and she goes, oh my God, he's been telling you this for 50 years and you didn't even know it. And then it went on to say, those who don't give donations, who do things for people, don't ask your friends and the people around you for help. I'm paraphrasing, by the way, Jeff. I know you're going to quote me on this one. But he said, because if you do, you won't be, you don't need to be rewarded. You've already been rewarded. But your reward will be 10 times greater if I get to reward you. And those are the principles that I've always stood on as a father, as a friend, as a man, as a coach, as a teacher. I always say the hardest thing to do as a teacher, and this might be my downfall, is you can always love and care for your students. The trick is caring for them when they stop caring for themselves. And these children forget who they are. They're going through, like Bethany said, the hormonal stage. They're going through all this crap. They don't even know what the hell they want. And for me to sit there and say, "Oh, so you want to go throw rocks at windows? You know what? Our governor says it's all right to do that, and we can't punish you for it. So go ahead and do it. Make yourself feel better." No, I have to step up to the plate. And when I step up to the plate and I get slammed by my administration because it's a legal thing, when I get slammed for my beliefs and I have to step back and look at the whole picture, it bugs me. So when Charlie Kirk died for something that he was trying to prove can work, that pissed me off. I was hurt. And being a forgiving person, my first thing being a war veteran is I want to go out and kick somebody's ass. But the hardest thing to do, it's not turn your cheek. The hardest thing to do is say, you know what, be the better man, be the better person, be the better human. The left wants to shoot somebody. They shot Abraham Lincoln when they got pissed, when things went to hell. They shoot Kennedy when things went to hell. They shoot Kennedy's brother when things, they shot Martin Luther King when things went to hell because they didn't believe in what he was saying. get somebody better and smarter and more intelligent who makes freaking sense on your side that can do what Charlie Kirk was doing. And you just got rid of somebody who, in my opinion, is the closest I have personally seen in my lifetime to an apostle. And I'm saying that not like he was like glorious. I'm saying it because this man did things and said things that I wish I knew how to answer. And even the apostles didn't know until the Holy Spirit was given upon them like a tornado in the wind. They didn't even know what to say. And Charlie had it down. And he is what we needed in this generation, in this time of life. And I've been worrying for the last 5 to 6 years and praying to God every day, what's going on with the world? Like, why can't we get along? Why can't we, why does the right have to go so far? Why does the left have to be so extreme? Why can't we balance? And Charlie Kirk dying was a martyr, and Charlie Kirk
did you see
changed
the
it.
right burning down cities,
No,
destroying?
you're 100% right, and
Absolutely
that's
not.
true. When I'm not going to name names, I can't think of the names right now, but when that happened, they were burning down cities. When Charlie did, we went into arena and we praised God.
Absolutely. We got
And
on our
that
knees.
is what is that if the right and what they're doing isn't as close to what Jesus taught, I don't know what you can say. Because as far as I'm concerned, and the way I look at the world, I'm very big on understanding the demonic faith that's out there and the demonics that's out there. I understand we're in a battle. I understand Jesus beat all that. But he didn't say that the devil doesn't have power to be able to still convert everybody into going down there with him. That's the one thing he has with, because we have one thing called free will, and free will is important. And that makes me love the fact that all the people that are gathering for Jesus and gathering for Charlie, that he brought us together. And you know what? I'm hoping there's not a civil war. I don't think there's going to be a civil war. I think God is fighting back and
Okay.
doing what he knows best.
Well, the
Okay.
left is saying Jimmy
Okay, I
Kimmel.
want to say something really quick.
Jimmy
I
Kimmel
know
lost his job for words.
Okay, I want to say something really
Kirk
quick.
lost his life for words.
I hear everybody, but
Okay.
this show is amazing. I wish we can go and do a second one, but
We're about to
Roxy,
do a second one if we go another 30 minutes.
we gotta wrap
Yeah,
this up.
so
This is a
This was
two-parter.
really, really
our
good.
lovely producer,
But yeah,
creator of the network, has requested that we wrap up.
yeah,
So
wrap it up.
if we could wrap this up on peace and love
Yeah.
and prayers for Charlie's family and whatever else you want to end on, David, that would be great.
Well, yeah, we could have turned this into 2 hours. I knew that this would be something that all of us were going to have heartfelt messages and talk. And I think it's important that we do keep this going and we keep it out there. Honestly, we could have kept going and kept going and kept going. But the reality is I look at it this way. The man made a point. He did something. He made a stamp on this world. He made a stamp on all of our hearts, whether you believe him or you don't, or you don't believe him, or you disagree with him or you agree with him. And at the end of the day, I think that the world better figure it out real quick. We need to come together, and it's only going to have to get stronger as America if we're going to be able to take care of the other business outside of our country. And that being said, I think we had an amazing show. I'm glad everybody was here. I can't wait to do the next one. And damn it, we're 30 minutes short of 2 episodes here. This is a 1 and 2-parter. And I don't think our producer wants that one right now. Our editor right now is going, God dang it, I'm not going to sleep tonight. Hey guys, I'm glad you guys came out. I'm glad to all our viewers out there that you got to take a chance to see us and FNL Talk, our network talk show. We had a blast today. Everybody kicked butt, and I hope to see everybody soon. You guys take care. Peace out. Take it easy, and
Love y'all.
love God.
You.
Next episode. 4.